After a hacker begins releasing students' most intimate secrets to the whole school, social order at El Colegio Nacional is turned upside down. Popular kids become bullied, outcasts gain status, and everyone is a suspect. Sophia, a social recluse and know-it-all with a penchant for deduction, must race against the clock to catch the hacker before he releases more secrets. Along the way, she will learn to make friends, have empathy for others, and she might even fall in love. So buckle up and get ready for Sherlock Holmes meets Gossip Girl meets Elite, and yes, that's a good thing. Control Z is a Mexican teen drama that premiered on Netflix on May 22, 2020. Created by Carlos Quintanilla, the first season is 8 episodes long, each lasting about 40 minutes, and follows Sophia as she works to uncover who the hacker is. A spoiler warning is now in effect for Season 1, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up so you can get more content from me in the future. Since we have a lot of characters to get into, I'm really only going to include the ones that are central to the plot, but watch the show because there's a lot of characters that I don't mention and there's more story arcs that I don't explain. Our story begins with Sofia, a quiet social outcast in El Colegio Nacional. From the beginning, we learn that she has a traumatic past, and as the show goes on, we learn that the bullying she experiences isn't just shrugged off, but instead is internalized. She's the main character and leads the investigation into finding out who the hacker is. Her mother is Nora and her father is Fernando. Fernando is Sofia's dad and is framed as Sofia's boyfriend in the first half of the season before we find out he's actually her father, and the two have hidden the fact that he didn't die in a house fire as everyone previously believed. Nora is Sofia's mom and is dating Sofia's principal, Quintanilla, and denies his proposal for marriage. She's a loving and caring mom, but at times she tries to control Sofia. Javier is the new boy at school whose dad is a famous Mexican soccer player. He quickly befriends Sofia despite his potential to be super popular. He has a rivalry with Raúl for Sofia and is one of the main characters to actively defend Luis. Raúl is the hacker, but we don't learn this until the end of the show. He is courting Sofia and often bumps heads with Javier. He was part of the popular group at school and becomes the hacker because he grows tired with the hypocrisy from his inner circle. Bruno is the school's IT guy who helps Raúl hack the phones and create the exposing videos. Luis is by far the one who gets bullied the most at school. He frequently gets beat up by Jerry while everyone watches. He is literally beaten into a coma and later dies. And if that wasn't sad enough, we learn he actually had a crush on Jerry the whole time. Jerry is a closeted bisexual and abusive. He frequently attacks Luis and has extreme anger management issues. Isabela is a transgender woman whose identity is outed by the hacker. Prior to this, she was dating Pablo. Pablo is Isabela's ex-boyfriend. He's also a cheater, impregnates Maria, and has no plans to raise the child. Natalia is Maria's sister and is well-liked until she is exposed for stealing money from the school's committee to buy luxury brands to fit in with the popular group. She mistreats Rosita, saying she does not belong in the inner circles. Alex is an out lesbian who is secretly dating a teacher. Lulu isn't really central to the plot, but she was really funny, and honestly, I just wanted to include her in this. The story begins like any typical high school. We learn about the popular group and how Sofia is an outcast. We also learn about Jerry bullying Luis and how Sofia is a badass for saving him. And can I just say that from episode 1, I already thought Jerry was closeted. I mean, no straight man just bullies and lashes out on another guy like Jerry did. All the students gather for an assembly about phones and social media, where the hacker outs Sofia's identity as a trans woman. We then learn that the hacker has reached out to several students, threatening to out their secrets if they don't comply with his request. Jerry and Natalia are exposed, Jerry as a closeted man attracted to men, and Natalia as a thief and money fraud. Natalia is removed as the committee president of the Nona Party, the school's greatest tradition and celebration, and is replaced by Rosita, her rival. Pablo publicly breaks up with and shames Isabela. Luis's mom tries to talk to Quintanilla about all the bullying her son has gone through, but is shrugged off, and Luis fake confesses to being the hacker so he can get kicked out of school. Sofia and Javier start to get close, in more ways than one, if you know what I mean, and Sofia decides she wants to unearth the real hacker. We also get this amazing exchange between Alex and Jerry. Then, Jerry wants to beat up Luis for outing him, but luckily Javier and Sofia save him. The hacker organizes a fight between Jerry and Luis. I mean, literally organizes, like, makes a Facebook event and everything, where Luis tells everybody about themselves and gets beaten into a coma. Also, a large fight erupts. To hide the charade, Raul exposes his family's money fraud, not knowing how deep it actually runs, causing his family to run away, but they leave him money to survive, but he decides to use it to throw a party. At the party, the hacker, aka Raul, uses Alex as a pawn to lure Sofia into jumping off the roof into a pool. Javier freaks out and bails, as his secret is that he had a hand in the death of a former teammate in a similar situation. Sofia and Raul try to find the hacker, and Sofia is kidnapped from the house, calling Javier to no avail. She's then left on the sidewalk outside her house. At school, the hacker warns everyone that they are about to get exposed. Quintanilla hooks up with a teacher, Alex gets dumped, Raul, Javier, and Sofia follow clues to Bruno's house, and Javier is framed as the hacker. The next day at school, the Nona is cancelled out of fear of the hacker, and Raul and Sofia learn Javier left his previous school because he aided in the death of one of his teammates. Javier also has a past of being a bully and has a bad reputation in his past circles. In a backstory episode, we learned what happened to Raul becoming the hacker, influenced mostly by an obsession with Sofia, a bad family life, and fake friends. The season wraps up with Luis passing away, Javier and Sofia exposing Raul, and Jerry accidentally shooting Javier. Also, everyone's secrets get leaked, and another huge fight erupts. This show captures a very real threat in high schools and public life that didn't exist before. Social media is now so powerful that any secret from the past can be exposed at any second. And to top it off, the high school setting really adds to the fear because in high school, your reputation's everything. And as a high schooler, you don't know that, and you don't get how stupid that actually is. This show kept me on my toes, as each episode I struggled to figure out who the hacker was. In fact, when Luis confessed, I was like, do you blame him? Some of the scenes were also hard to follow, like with strobing lights at parties and dark lights in the basement, but the show does a really good job of later clearing up things that might be confusing in the moment. The show also makes you question the idea of justice and what that means. Is it justice for someone who could be seen as a murderer dying in the end? Is it justice for a bully to become outcasted and live with guilt to the point he wants to kill himself? Is it justice for someone to call out the hypocrisy and change the entire culture of a high school at the cost of doing bad things? What do you think? What does justice look like in this show? As I start to make these videos, I'm coming to the realization that my woke analysis isn't always going to be the popular idea. In fact, the whole point of this section is to explore ideas and themes that most people don't want to explore. In this show, there's a lot of themes that could be tackled for this section, and one of the most notable is bullying. When Sofia is presented, we see her scars from self-harm and assume she shrugs off most of the bullying she experiences and her past is behind her. But we later learn that this isn't the case. When Raul is exposed as the hacker, we don't get a glimpse into his mind and into his psyche, but instead we get voiceovers of him saying he wants everyone to get what's coming to them. And yes, what Raul did was awful and terrible. But I have to ask, does his argument hold water? Take Sofia as the prime example. In the beginning, everyone turns a blind eye to her, and then when she starts to take on the role as the investigator, everyone starts noticing her and talking to her more. And it's never directly stated, but everyone wants her to unearth the hacker. Her character helps explore what Raul actually meant. Everyone is hypocritical, and to an extent, selfish because they would rather make everyone else suffer than themselves. They want to sit back and say that everything the hacker is doing is awful, but everything the hacker posts is then repeated and the bullying intensifies against those people who have been outed. It isn't until everyone starts to realize that all of their secrets can be exposed that they start to change. We can look at Isabela as a case study. Her identity as a trans woman being outed is terrible, but later on we see that she tells her mom that the support she's getting as a result of it is overwhelmingly positive. Sure, she has the occasional assholes that taunt her, but the high school culture establishes that, for the most part, they're a trans-accepting group. And I really want to place Jerry here, but honestly, it's really clear that he has a lot more growth to do, and there are legal consequences that he needs to face for the mistakes that he's made. It's undeniable that Raul / the hacker launches important discourse in the school. I think the final scene with the voiceover of the principal talking about their school is the perfect vehicle for this theme to be explored. These students will be the leaders of tomorrow, and they are the future. Something this intense would surely rattle them to be better people, right? Something I wish the show would have explored more is the role of reputation in contemporary society. Reputation and human ego drive us as humans in Western societies. The students' fears of their secrets exposed comes from their fear of how everyone's going to view them. When we start to see Javier as the hacker, do we destroy the idea we had of him in our minds? I know for myself, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that a character who had been built up so heavily to be good was responsible for something so bad. Even after we see the video of him by the pool, I still can't bring myself to call him a murderer. One can argue that him being a good person now is a result of terrible things he did in the past, which raises another question of forgiveness. What warrants forgiveness? Is the death he had a hand in forgiven because of the life he tried to save now? Does him potentially dying at the end equal justice? This show raises a lot of larger questions about society, especially in a world now where information can travel in seconds, and I really hope that the show gets approved for a second season so we can explore these themes in greater depth and with more examples, since right now, this is more of a philosophical argument. I didn't know what to expect when I first saw this show, but I'm really glad I watched it. In fact, I can't wait for one of my best friends to finish watching it so we can discuss it together. It's one of those few shows that I was actually able to binge watch, because normally shows take me a couple of months to finish. Elite took me a few weeks, but I watched all of this one in less than 48 hours. Maybe less than 24. I don't know, I kinda lost track. We still have to wait for the reviews and the stats to come out to see if we're gonna get a second season, so continue streaming it and make sure you tell your friends to watch too. Thank you so much for watching my video on Control Z. I feel like I have a controversial take on this show, so what are your thoughts? I would love to hear from you in the comments below. And don't be shy, subscribe! Gracias por hablar conmigo hoy. Ciao!